Hello everybody, welcome back to Conscientious Omnivore. My name is Pal. Today I'm going to be making a super quick pizza for the family at home here, and I wanted to show you guys and bring you along for the recipe. I've got a bunch of stuff picked out, but really it could be any random assortment of vegetables, honestly. What I've got left in the fridge right now is peppers, got an onion here, and some broccoli. And I've got half a kilo of flour, roughly measured out. Don't have to be too exact, that's about a pound for the people in the US. And I've got my kind of homemade preserves here that I canned earlier this summer. And in case you guys might remember, I did a video about this. I called it the ultimate, meal prep, or ultimate vegan meal prep, or whatever I called it. But anyway, it's basically the tomatoes, zucchinis, some peppers, and onions. And what you're going to do with this is blend it, and that's going to be our tomato sauce, like base for the pizza. Oh, I forgot to put out the cheese here, but anyway, I got some vegan cheese. That's kind of optional, I guess, because it's not something that's foremost in my mind, but for the kids, they like the vegan cheese. I'm usually not a huge fan, so I'll grate some of that later. But anyway, we are going to be using this yeast. Usually I would make this with sourdough, but I'm actually using my sourdough to make a bread right now, just off to the side here. So this is going to be a butternut squash bread that I'm doing sourdough. I've done a recipe about this, so check out that video if you're interested. And for now I'm just going to be doing like a yeast-based pizza. Maybe some time in the future I'll do a sourdough pizza for you guys too, because I think the flavor really is better, and I'll show that to you guys at some other time. But basically you're going to take half this cube, which is a 50-gram cube. In the US, I think it was always difficult to find this live yeast stuff, so I would always use the powdered yeast, the dry yeast. Just look at whatever the instructions on the back say to use. I don't remember the ratios, honestly, so you can just like use whatever the package says. So anyway, so let's get going here. The first thing I'm going to do is get a little bit of water warmed up so that it's lukewarm. I'm going to take half this cube, stir it in there with some flour, and then we are going to knead the dough and set it to the side so I can start working on the veggies. I'll show that to you guys next. Okay, so I got my lukewarm water, got the cube of yeast cut in half. I'm going to put this in here, and I'm going to add just like a spoonful or two of the flour, and mix this up until the yeast is kind of all broken up and nicely mixed in with a little bit of the flour. Might have to add more. It's not a precise science. I just want it to be kind of like a little bit of a doughy kind of mixture with the lukewarm water. It's going to start activating the yeast, and then what you do is you take the whole concoction and mix it back into the flour. I'm going to add some salt and knead it into a little ball, and we'll set it to the side. I'll show it to you guys next. I've just let this sit for a few minutes, and meanwhile I was prepping the vegetables, cleaning up the peppers and stuff. You can see that there's a lot of bubbles in there now, so this is fine. The yeast is definitely activated, and it's gotten really fluffy and kind of light. So we're going to mix this in here. I put some salt in there, and we're going to knead it into a little dough ball. Obviously I'll be adding water. I don't measure the amounts, so I'll just show you the kind of texture that you're looking for at the end. And I think that's also kind of like personal preference too, of how kind of thick you want the dough. But I'll show you what I do in a second. So there we go. The dough is all kneaded up. I like to go for this kind of consistency where it's a little bit kind of sticky to the touch, you can see. Actually, this might be a little bit more sticky than I usually go for. I probably would have maybe just added a little bit less water, but this is going to be fine. And I'm going to just cover it with a light kitchen cloth, and I'm going to chop up the veggies and throw them in a bowl, and we're going to season these. I'll show that to you next. Look at those colors. I love the green with the peppers and everything. I don't know. I love broccoli. I always eat the stem too. I highly encourage everybody to eat more broccoli. Broccoli is great for you. Watch all the Dr. Greger videos about the benefits of broccoli. But anyway, chopped everything up. You can see I kind of leave big pieces. I'm not very much of a traditionalist when it comes to pizza. Just kind of do whatever. And you can add all sorts of different kind of veggies. Last time I made pizza, we put on eggplant and just cubed that up as well, and that came out delicious. It was like really, really good. So experiment, do whatever you like, and chop things in there. Here in Hungary, It's very common to have corn on pizza, which was quite different for me coming from the U.S. Like in the U.S., I don't think I've ever seen corn put on pizza, but here it's actually very common. So people would put sweet corn in their toppings. So anyway, what are we going to do for seasonings? I got the usual kind of suspects that I always have, which is the turmeric, the paprika, black pepper, and then I've got what is this, caraway seed or fennel seed, and then I have the what is this? I can't even remember the name of it. Shoot, what is this? Help me out, guys. I'm only remembering the Hungarian name. What is it called? Oh, brewer's yeast. Yes, thank you. That's it. Brewer's yeast. I'm gonna have to edit that. Anyway, brewer's yeast. So we got brewer's yeast, and then we have a mix of kind of this Toscana type, Mediterranean herbs and spices. So there's like basil and rosemary and whatever else you see on here. All sorts of good stuff in there. Give it that little bit of a Mediterranean feel. And then what I do as a secret ingredient is hit it up with some soy sauce instead of salt, which is salty as heck anyway. But basically the soy sauce really gives it kind of this good, like, extra kind of flavor. I think there was we talked about this in one of the videos. I think it's the umami receptor in the tongue that activates that, if I remember right. But anyway, so we're going to throw this all on here, throw on some soy sauce and mix it up, and then let this sit to the side so it absorbs the flavors. And then we're going to just keep waiting for the dough to rise. We'll probably need that one more time, and then I'll show you guys the next step. While everything is off to the side and we're waiting, I'm going to open up this can, and I'm going to put it in a little pot, warm it up just so that it's not, kind of cold when we put it on. I won't heat it up yet, but I will blend it. So I'm going to use my little stick blender thingy and just mix that down so that it's a nice even consistency, just basically like a tomato sauce. And obviously, it's homemade, going to have a lot of great things in there. You can see the big chunks of zucchini and peppers and all the lovely tomatoes that we grew from the garden. So let's get this done. Just wanted to add a quick word about the about the sauce here. You can see, I've got quite a few other things in here that wouldn't normally be seen in a tomato sauce, because you just maybe use a plain tomato. But I've got the onions and the peppers and the zucchinis. And the thing that I really want to say is, like, one of my kids is kind of picky, and it would be difficult to get kids to eat some of these kind of vegetables easily. But when you blend it up and put it in a sauce on a pizza, I mean, most kids will like pizza, and it's a great way to get them to eat more veggies and be happy doing so. So I just wanted to add that really quick in case anybody's watching and has kids that are picky eaters, or if you yourself are a picky eater, it might be a good way to get yourself to eat more healthy vegetables and fruits and stuff. Alright, so final words here. I've blended it up. You can see pretty much just looks like a store-bought tomato sauce that you would use, but I can guarantee you guys, if you grow your own stuff and you can, the difference between the store-bought and the homemade is just out of this world. 100,000 times better, the homemade version. So I'm going to set this to the side. I'll just, warm it up to lukewarm before we get the toppings on the pizza. You can see that the dough is already starting to rise, so it's already a lot bigger. I'm going to need this. Set it back again for another few minutes. And you can see our sourdough bread is actually getting quite big as well, but I'll need that again. And we'll get back to the next step. I've got the oven preheating now. I set it to 225 Celsius, which is around 437 Fahrenheit. I just checked that. I did not do that conversion in my head. And while that's getting going, I grated the cheese. So I'm going to make a plain pizza. Do half with just cheese, and maybe do one half with no cheese, because one of my kids doesn't even like the cheese on there. So anyway, I just wanted to do a quick note about cheese. I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of vegan cheese, to be honest. I definitely liked cheese when I was eating like dairy back in the day. but I'm happy that I don't ever really feel the compulsion for cheese. I never missed it when I went vegan. It was just like, okay, I just don't eat cheese anymore. And I will say though that lately there have been a few flavors that I've actually tried that I actually like. My wife and the kids are both usually a fan of the cheese. This original flavor is very reminiscent of just basically like an American cheese kind of flavor. I think for me this doesn't really do it. The smoked one is definitely better. I think, I mean, for me it's just like a little bit better. I like this one, and I really like this one. We just recently started eating this one. It's a like Mediterranean style, like it says Greek style. It's kind of a white cheese. And yeah, I think it's actually kind of reminiscent to me of like a goat cheese. So I actually prefer this one to pretty much all of them that I've tried so far. And I've tried a Gouda as well, and that one is pretty decent too. So I think really it's just like the original one doesn't do it for me, but the other ones are pretty decent. So I've just grated down using the large hole on the grater about maybe, I think it was maybe about 2/3 full, this package, and that's what we've got here. So the dough is you know, ready to get kneaded again and put onto the baking sheets, and I'm going to do that next and show you guys the next steps. So what I've done is I've cut the dough into 2 pieces, rolled that one again. I use a very dull old school knife so that I don't hurt the countertop here, and I pretty heavily flour the countertop and the rolling pin. I am not fancy. I do not know the cool pizza twirling stuff. Like maybe someday I'll learn how to do that, and you know, maybe someday when I have like a camera stand, I'll actually be able to show you guys when I'm doing stuff in the kitchen. But basically, yeah, if you want, you can support me on Patreon, and maybe I'll buy a camera stand. But for right now, all I will do is kind of roll this out using the pin in my hands and just kind of try to get into a large square type shape, because that's the shape of my baking pan, and I will show that to you next. Okay, so there you go. It's not perfect. I didn't really worry about getting the edges or whatever, but largely it covers the whole sheet. And this is going to end up being kind of like a middle, medium kind of thick crust, which is the kind I like. Obviously, if you want thinner, you can either do 3 pizzas instead of 2, or just use less flour or whatever. If you want a thicker crust, do more flour. So yeah, what I'm going to do is take about half of the sauce, which I've now warmed up. I'm going to put that on here. I'm going to throw on some veggies and get this one in the oven. So that's what the pizza looks like. I'm going to throw this in the oven. And a quick word about the toppings. Last time I kind of put too many toppings that I made when I made the pizza, and it can get a little bit, kind of soggy if there's too many things on there. This is even probably borderline. But no big problem if you just have some left over at the end, because you can just saute these really quick in a pan and they come out great as almost like a little side dish. So let's throw this in, and I'm going to give it like maybe 15-20 minutes. I'll check on it after, about maybe 15 minutes. I'll check on it, but it'll probably need about 20 minutes. Okay guys, so it's been about 15 minutes. Take a look. I'm going to say that needs about 5 more minutes. So it'll probably be around 20 when we take it out. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes actually, and I think this pizza's ready. Let's take this guy out and we'll throw the other one in. You can see the second pizza is kind of a mishmash. I left 1/4 just plain with nothing, then one with just cheese, and then one with toppings and cheese. Probably went a little too heavy on the toppings. It'll probably end up a little soggy, but I don't really care. Okay, so we've got the first pizza sliced up now. Got a nice crispy edge. Like I said, came out with a nice medium crust. Smells great. Can't wait to taste it, and I'll let you guys know what we think. But just based on the smell and the looks, I think it came out pretty good. I've got the other one baking now, and I'll keep an eye on that as well. Okay, it's been just a little over 20 minutes now for the second pie, and it is looking done. So it's time to take this guy out. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful. And we've tasted the first pizza, and I can say that it is fantastic. So let's get this one out as well. Okay guys, so that's the second pizza. Looking great. We're still working on the first one, but we'll start slicing this up for the kids as well. And yeah, just hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a big thumbs up, and let me know how you make your own pizzas and what kind of toppings you put on there. But like I say, this is very, easy and flexible. You can put whatever kind of veggies or toppings you want. Another thing you could easily have done is just, cubed up, say, tofu or seitan or something like that. There's many different kind of flavors and, toppings that you can do, or different kind of sauces. You can do like the, pre-made kind of meat replacer kind of things like seitan or barbecue sauce or whatever. I mean, you can really just do whatever you want with this, and it's a really easy thing to do, and kids enjoy making it too and eating it. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Stick around for the next one. I got lots more videos coming up, and see you in the next one. Thanks everybody. Bye.